Where you going, bud? Take me to your leader. Following Gricka's party, right? We're gonna follow the breadcrumbs here to another potential battle. Man, we're gonna hemorrhage some deserters, but there's a little village here we can hit up, and they took this castle recently. Ragenvad is out west, so I guess we could do a little bit more compiling of wealth here. We've got an insane amount of influence, all these troops that we're depositing in the garrisons, all of these lords. And what happened there? I think we just got a quest back. To hell with it. Let's pick up even more troops. If we can get a sizable Nord force to engage us, we'll be able to take advantage of all these troops, right? We have 48 tier 1 units, tier 1 Sturgian units, and see where this army is following Gricka, right? We know Gricka's in here somewhere. It's just a question of tracking him down, and might be a tall order. Let's take a peek here to see if we should run. And he's got a bunch of younglings, right? That's the lowest tier. He's got some good infantry though too. Well, it's a long shot, but this campaign's going to be, you know, we're going to play this at times with our hair on fire here. We've got a head of steam going again, and this is kind of the perfect open field battle for the mercenary stage. Plus, 260 troops. When's the last time anybody had 264 troops in the mercenary stage? Hopefully we don't get deserters here. You know, it's, you know, as soon as I said that we get deserters, but it's all coming off the bottom, so it doesn't really matter, right? We're still going to have our 80 archers, 80 really good archers. We've got about 50, 60 good skirmishers. Let's give this a whack here, right? Obviously we've got the tactics to amplify this army to the maximum. And the power bar doesn't look horrific. It's pretty tilted. And they have a lot of archers, which is a problem. We're going to have to get very creative to offset the archers, but we've got our javelins here too, right? With the 250 throwing skill, I think you get rid of your shield here, right? And get even more javelins. And guys, go get, you know, the nicest javelin possible. Once you get to 250 throwing skill, you don't care about tier 6 Jarids. What you want is large bags, right? Because then, damn, we've got the Discord. It sounds like... This is what I want to do here. Let's just roll with it. We're going to hear the occasional Discord message. I try to close out my web browser before we play here. Hopefully it's not too much of a nuisance. Hopefully there's not a huge amount of chat spam. Or maybe you guys won't even notice it, right? So 20. Let's look at our cavalry here. See, this is beautiful. The Sturgian cavalry, there's two types. There's the mediocre Drudzinics, and then there's the excellent Jav Cav. I say they're excellent because of their versatility, and frankly, if you use them right, I think they have a higher degree of killing power. So tons of infantry. We want to have, let's see, let's make the 3rd division our primary attacking cavalry, and the 2nd division can be our defensive cavalry. What I would love to have is 4, 5, 6 Drudzinics in the defensive cavalry, because they're heavily armored. And lots of Jav Cav. There's a couple horse archers in there too. That's good. And I guess we don't have... I thought we had a few Drudzinics, but maybe they died in that siege. Or, you know, they got swept away when we snuck in. And well, we have a division full of peasants here. Let's see. Here's what we can do with it, right? We can use them purely distractionary, and we can throw them and feed them, these Sturgian boys... We can throw them to the enemy infantry, right? As their infantry line is starting to close in, we can basically send them across the screen. They will absorb arrows. They will get enemy attention. And that's better than our other units getting attention, right? We've got 3 killing forces in this battle here. 4, if you count the cavalry. What we're going to do with our Jav Cav is throw javelins at the beginning in the rear of the enemy infantry as they approach, and then we'll use them defensively the rest of the battle, because we're going to have to screen our units here from all of their archers. They're going to have 100, 150 archers or something like that in this battle. It's going to be a major problem. So let's spread out the 4th, 5th, and 6th here. Damn, and they have 170 archers, so... Let's get the 6th. Let's get a full heavy-sided formation over here. We can get the 2 cav divisions out in front. It looks like they have horse archers, too. Is that what I'm seeing? They've got a whole bunch of horse archers in their army. 63 horse archers. So we've got some work to do here, but we could kill these guys with javelins, right? We have this Jav-Cav line in a shield wall. It decimates horse archers, right? Jav-Cav is the answer to horse archers. That and good archers, of course. We don't have a lot of crossbow. We've got a handful. And it's going to have to work. We can bring our 6th quarter up here, our skirmishers, I should say, and then have them release a barrage or two into these horse archers, these soft horse archers. Of course, we've got our nasty axe that we just picked up, and we're going to put that to use and just drilling these guys right through their shields. This is why it's so overpowered. And you don't need Jareeds, right? Every javelin here is one-shotting, and it doesn't matter who it hits, right? 160, 120, insta-kills a berserker. That's their tier 5 infantryman. He's insta-killed by every javelin, right? You don't need any skill, because you just throw at a big group of troops. All right, that's a lot of archers. Let's feed them a cav division here in a shield wall. The other division here, we can have them charge and basically attack behind the enemy. And we save some javelins here. As this division gets past our skirmishers, then those guys can go to work too. We want that 5th division here in the center to bait the enemy. You got to have a little bit of patience here. Don't have them run away until they're 30 meters from the enemy. Right about here, this is about where we want to get them back, right? They've been sucked into the center of the battlefield here. We can drill them a few times with javelins. 900 damage that just did, I think. Did I see that wrong? These are regular javelins. These aren't crafted. He's doing 500, and there's the first guy I didn't kill with the javelin, right? Everybody else is insta-killed. They're right in the middle of a maelstrom here. It's a skirmisher killbox, right? This 6th division is just going to pound the enemy from behind. Now, what I prefer, just like a bad porn flick, is for us to get completely behind them here. And we're going to have these cavalrymen just dump javelins into the back of them as well. Look at those boys come up and just pelt the enemy with javelins. Attaboy. I think it actually makes more sense here for you guys to see exactly how this works. Just fight down here with the men. I can actually pick up pick up javelins. I got a javelin sticking out of my patella. And now that horsemen have thrown their javelins, right now you just assign them to stand there in front of the archers. In fact, let's get this 6th corps, these skirmishers kind of backed up. To our left here, our right is where the enemy archers are. So if we can get our skirmishers and just sort of push them away from the enemy archers, I think they'll have more cover. And stupid horses. This guy's got a little glare-on heavy hand left in him. Now the horsemen are getting blasted, right? The 3rd corps now is just basically standing there absorbing arrows. But now we commence to killing, right? Here come the skirmishers, and you can hear the enemy screaming and being pounded by javelins, right? Now I personally like to micromanage them back and forth. That is because when they move forward, they throw for extra damage, right? So they have momentum. And then I'll back them up and then move them forward. The enemy's being pounded on the other side by archers, right? We've got the 4th corps over there, the 5th corps here behind them. And now you just back and forth with the skirmishers here. Where's our 3rd division? I don't see them. They're over there somewhere. This infantry, though, is being shredded by these javelins, right? Now, we just lost a couple, but we're just ripping their infantry apart. They're down to 120 infantry, right? Now, their archers are going to be a problem here, but their infantry is dissolving. It's time to move in here for the kill. We can get skirmishers here moved in behind them. And the further away we move from their archers, the better, right? Their archers are pursuing and shooting. Well, our guys can throw javelins on the run, right? Our archers are moving back. That's going to give them distance. And this infantry division is toast. We can move in here for the kill. It's down to 90. They're starting to rout. Berserkers are getting one shot still by javelins. And this battle's over. Look at this guy coming up with 12 javelins in his shield. Down you go, big boy. I can get a shield now, too. Now, their archers are a problem. We're going to have to definitely use our skirmishers suicide style. We might even separate them into 2 divisions because it's such a great amount of archers. But this infantry is going to insta-die here, right? Now we're bringing in hardcore skirmishers, and we have archers behind them, right? So they're being smoked in the back. All right. Let's turn our wrath on these archers. So you charge with the archers here, right? You want your archers moving forward aggressively, and just take your skirmishers, put them in a shield wall, and point them past the enemy, right? What I want to do here is just have them go towards the enemy. 170. So it's so many archers here, and it's a long line. What I recommend here is you split your skirmishers. Right now we have one division. We'll just make it. We can make 2 divisions out of it. Right, the 3rd and the 6th. We'll give you a little view of this, and of course, it's optimal on a horse at this stage because I can cut down a lot more archers like this. Just work our way in here. The skirmishers are now split. The archers are charging. And the skirmishers send them both directions, right? One to each end of the line of the archers. And what that does is give the archers nothing but shields, right? As these guys charge. And now we just got to do some heavy blows here. We got this shit. These guys are being shredded. Now, there's a lot of death spam. That's our skirmishers. A lot of those guys, of course, were wounded. But there's a nice flush of green, right? And they just started ripping through them. They're still throwing javelins, right? You got to love it. In fact, we can finish off this archer division over here on foot. They're going to rout soon. There's no way they can handle this kind of an onslaught. And another large Nordic force here just butchered and sent packing. This was 600 Nords, and they just got exploded. The enemy's fleeing. You have won the battle. And man, it's glorious, right? We basically have a hit squad here. Our Delta Force just obliterated a full Nord army in the mercenary stage. Right? Look at them run. It's great. And as if our influence wasn't absurd before, we're almost at 1,000 influence. Right? We're making 50, 60, 70,000 gold per day from our influence. It's starting to get silly in this campaign. Now, we're going to go join the Sturgians. I got to track down Ragenvad. It seems like wherever I go, he goes somewhere else. Everybody's familiar with that game. You must talk to the leader, of course, of the clan to join them. I think we just hit clan tier 4. I think that's what that said. And look at this shit. Even more prisoners here. Of course, even more troops. We'll take them all because we're going to go put them in the city. Almost 500 more prisoners. And I guess we'll just take the very top end prisoners here and go deposit them in, what do we got? We got Varnavapel. And just our hot rod blows through the finish line at a record, 386 miles an hour. One of those funny cars, right? Where it's like fucking, it's like in 2 seconds, it goes 0 to 400 or something like that. I have no idea how those guys survived that kind of G-force. And then we're going to be able to sell goods. Look at our gold. Observe the gold. This is vanilla. There's no mods, right? Anybody's like, oh, he's using difficulty mods or something to make the game easier. Nah, there aren't any, right? We're playing on a beta. I couldn't even get the RTS mod to work. So there's no mods here at all. This is just legit Bannerlord. And it's Bannerlord on crack, right? When you have great units, and I'll say we have great tactics on the channel. When you have the combination of those two things, that's what you get. It looks silly. Our daily expected gold is 50,000 from the influence. It's hilarious. And so you get rich, you get accolades. We're blasting through the clan tiers. Now we're going to get deserters, but we've talked about it, right? They're coming from the bottom of the stack, and so we're losing, we're losing trucks and stuff like that. We've still got our core of about 170, 160 elite troops, and they get stronger almost every battle, of course, because the guys are killing a lot. Our workshops gain some revenue. We've got a couple smiths and then some other workshop that we bought, so our workshops are making some money here. And it's all systems go here in this campaign. Now watch this shit, right? We can donate. This isn't going to be that much. We'll donate all our ghetto troops here. I want to keep some of these Nords though, right? They had Nord archers and some good infantry. We'll keep those troops for sure. We'll keep the Nord prisoners as well. And then this, right? Even more influence. Just insane. Now we had a huge amount of prisoners escape, right? What did we take? Like 200 prisoners there. You can't keep them all, right? They're all scattering into the forest and shit like that. But another 40 influence. We're back over 700. And now we trade, right? And of course, at this stage, every single store, all of them, all their money, right? We have virtually unlimited money. And this campaign, I want to say, is like 100 days in. So you can smith, right? You can definitely smith. But I don't know even if smithing makes you this much money this fast. And this is sure a hell of a lot more fun. Not to mention our character's power leveling, right? A daily gold change, 40, it looks silly, 45,000. Yesterday, we can see if they have any upgraded ships here. I'd like to get like a a Drakkar, right? One of the long Viking boats. They're really good for skirmishers because they're all at the same level. And it doesn't look like they have any. But we'll take a long ship, right? That's better than... what do we have? This little tiny thing, right? Or yeah, the light long ship. We can let that go. And that's a good arsenal here for our force. Now, we should be moving faster than that. Let's see. 1.0? Why are we moving so slow? Oh, you know what? We're getting all the loot from these battles. Look how badly overburdened we are. We're just going to have to... And it's good for our kingdom, right? We're going to have to dump all that former... It's probably food. We're going to have to dump all the former Nord food. Look at this shit. We got 1,000 fish, right? So we're just carrying wagon loads of shit. We don't need these horses, right? We can sell some horses here. And of course, we make even more money. In fact, I forgot to collect all the money here in the city. So we'll go to Omor too, right? We'll do this at Omor. In fact, I think we can drop by Revel on the way there, right? And we just get crazy rich. And we're ready now to be a vassal. Frankly, we're considering being our own kingdom, and we don't even have a fief yet now. Still looking for a first significant naval battle. We did fight one battle against Sea Raiders, but I don't know if it made it into one of these episodes. It doesn't really matter. We're going to have some ocean battles here. What's this guy doing? He's taunting us. He's sailing around us in circles. And we're getting shipmaster points. That's because our shipmaster's on a quest. Let's hit Omor. Let's get a bunch more gold, right? You can never have too much gold early in a campaign, right? In fact, our mercenary contract is starting to become pretty mediocre, right? We're down to 28,000 per day. We're going to have to do some more killing here. They buy your influence daily, right? Like in installments. And so it goes down over the course of time. But it you know, I'm obviously being sarcastic. It is still silly. You almost never see that in a Bannerlord campaign where you get, I don't know, 300,000 or 400,000 from your influence, right? We're up to 530. Like an hour ago, I was not buying equipment because we couldn't afford it, and now we got money pouring out of our ears. Of course, every fucking store we go to, we take all their money, and we're not even close to expending all the equipment we have. So when it rains, it pours, and it's a downpour right now in this campaign. Another 50,000. Winter 1785. I think the game, well, doesn't really matter. You guys get the gist. No, I don't want to go across land. Stupid ass ship. I want my ships. And damn, this guy's going all the way to Castle Tirby. Well, that's the nature of it here. I think we'll do a little bit of editing. You guys probably don't need to watch us travel through the strait for hours just to get to Ragenbad. But we're going to find the old guy here and swear allegiance to the Sturgians. It's actually acting almost exactly like magnets, dude, right? Two opposite magnets. Wherever we go, he just gets pushed away from us. And are you shitting me? He just disappeared in the forest here. We traveled the whole seas of Calradia looking for the Grand Prince, and his army must have just dissolved, right? It's not like he vanished into the wilderness. He was a fugitive. They did not get captured, and here they are. He's in here somewhere. There's a host of different camels and Sturgians. Where are you at, Grand Prince? Have you seen the Grand Prince? We haven't seen him in weeks, and I can't see shit. So we're going to find him, though. We're tracking him down here and finally swear allegiance to the Sturgians. And he's got himself in a gigantic mess. Or more accurately, the other kingdoms, as usual, right, are turning Sturgia into the whipping boy. Now, a lot of people would say, well, wait until they pay you the mercenary contract here, but you guys have been following us. We don't need money, right? Or more accurately, we're just not worried about whatever 15, 20 grand that they were going to owe us. We will repudiate our debts here, and we will power trip. We will definitely man up here on Ragenvad and come to our coronation naked. Look, he's looking around like, what the fuck is this shit? Who is this guy? We're Hagar the Horrible, dude. You got no idea who you just invited into your kingdom. It's time for some pillage. It's time for some carnage in this campaign. And of course, the next phase of this campaign, becoming a vassal. We probably won't be a vassal very long because it's going to be even more explosion time to this character, our army, and our stats, right? And our legendary Barghast axe that we bought for 60,000 is worth better than any axe they can offer us, right? So we'll take his little flimsy offer there and chuck his axe into our giant treasure wagon. And what's quest he got here? He got help with the Nords. All right, this is right up our alley here. He wants us to raid. Well, we just happen to like raiding. Now we have one bitch-ass companion that's not gonna like it. I think there's only one though, right? If they're merciful or valor or whatever, basically if they're a goody two-shoes little punk-ass companion, they will whine like a bitch when you raid. But you know, we're at war with 4 different kingdoms, and I guess in case I don't include that footage, Dirt declared war on us. Our northern ally said, or we said no to the northern ally asking if we wanted help, but we're paying the Britannians, or excuse me, we're paying the Northern Empire to fight the Britannians here, right? So the call to war, the diplomacy of Bannerlord is dramatically improved, and while it still needs some work, it's definitely improved. Now there are some changes to diplomacy that come with this patch, and the easiest thing I could say is that I don't remember them all, but one of them I do remember is you're much less likely to be at war with somebody that's not right next to you, right? If somebody used to declare war with you and there's like a whole kingdom in between you and them, that's a lot less likely to happen with the new update. So continued improvement, right? Which is kind of my philosophy when it comes to life, right? We should all be trying to improve. Now you see this punk ass guy here with the rose. He's not going to like this, that we're raiding villages, but I look over his stats and we don't need this guy, right? If he whines, or even if he leaves our party, we don't give a shit here, right? We're Hagar the Horrible. We're going to raid some villages, even though, yeah, we suffered way too many casualties here. That's horseshit. But it's also the nature of the auto-resolve system. The auto-resolve is almost never going to supersede what you can do as a tactician on the battlefield with the right army, right? We lost like high-end archers and shit like that. That's almost never going to happen against a bunch of peasants. And now we raid the shit out of this village, and I love it, right? You can see the icon. There's like some guy getting pushed and shit sitting being set on fire. It's fun to be bad, right? I had a lot of fun with the Orc campaign. That was part of our Lord of the Rings exploratory playthrough. It's fun being a bad guy, right? Because I try to be a good guy in real life, and here's this guy bitching about it. I don't care for it any more than I did before. Well, shut the fuck up. You're not in charge. And if the guy leaves, we don't give a shit, right? We'll go get some evil companion from the local tavern. I think we'll take this guy's clothes off, in fact. He's going to complain with this village too, right? So I think let's show you the difference, right? What we're going to do here very quickly in this battle. Of course, we don't have the RTS mod, so I guess it won't be super quick. But what we're going to do here is level up the villagers and suffer few casualties at the same time, right? We suffered 5 dead high-end casualties at the previous village. This is the best way to get the best of both worlds. We want to level these villagers, right? In fact, these little Valandians, these are literally the guys that 10 seconds ago we told the other village, give us your sons. We're not asking. They resisted. We auto-resolved and lost 5 of our good troops, right? That's horseshit. So what we're going to do is simply spread out some troops here intelligently, and then we're going to send these villagers into charge, right? That's because we don't care if they get killed, right? We can get more free. In fact, these are some of the future volunteers. We can mow some down here and power level Hagar the Horrible. We'll get his throwing skill to 300 probably in this campaign, just shredding everything in sight. But what we're going to do here is keep our cavalry at the edge of the battlefield. We don't want our cavalry tied up here getting killed by little militia. Eventually, they'll kill your cavalry, right? I don't want to lose our high-end troops when we're just trying to pick up some villagers here for our campaign. So we send our villagers into charge, and here they come, right? A bunch of little peasants. Now they have a few other infantry with them, and that's good because it gives them, you know, a little bit of someone to lean on a little bit. They'll get killed against these 2 or 3, especially militia, right? Your own troops will just get pulverized. So you send in the weak-ass militia to level up, and that will just clean house, right? And we've suffered a few losses, but I would bet most of that is going to be our ghetto-ass recruits, right? Literally the Valandian boys that we just told, come fight for us. We're not asking, we're telling. Right, and this guy's trying to flee. I don't think so, man. You catch a sharp stick in the shoulder. There's another guy here. We'll cut these villagers down. We're going to embrace our evil side in this campaign. We'll try not to waste too much of your time. I'm not going to do this over and over again. But here's a good example. All of our deaths were from our villagers, right, that we just got for free, and we got a bunch of upgrades, right? Instead of losing a bunch of good troops, instead we get a huge amount of villagers that just upgraded into crossbow. So our army gets stronger, and we don't lose our high-end troops, right? The same thing here, all this loot, we're just going to turn all this shit back over, and that's even more EXP for our troops because we have the right leadership perk for that perk, where you can essentially turn over your equipment to all the little recruits, and they, you know, you can picture them trying on pieces of armor and shit like that. Now, this guy is probably going to leave if we raid another village, so we're going to take all his shit. We're not about to just let this guy take all our good stuff and go to the tavern and demand 20,000 from the next party. We're going to give this guy frostbite before he leaves. In fact, I think we'll leave him a pair of boots. And now if he leaves, good riddance, right? Crybaby goody two-shoes. You can be good guy in our next campaign, right? We'll play the Imperials or something and be a virtuous knight and stuff like that. Whatever the fuck that means. In this campaign, though, Hagar the Horrible, we're going to raid, right? We were eager to accept this quest and raid some villages. Now, he didn't say anything there. It's kind of interesting. I kind of expected him to whine a little bit more. And we've got one more village to raid here. Don't worry, we won't spend the rest of this campaign raiding. I'm just embracing the role play here a little bit. So here's another example. Let's see how bad this is. Look at this shit. We got 2 Battanian Fiend Champs killed, evidently by villagers, and an elite Imperial Sergeant Crossbow killed, right? That's bullshit. But we'll try not to beat a dead horse. This is something I complain about almost every campaign. The bottom line here is if you're playing the campaign and you're having a hard time, don't let the auto-resolve fuck your army over, right? Use your troops, decimate the enemy, and send in the villagers first, right? Because you can always go get more. It's hard to acquire a Fiend Champ. It takes time. Although, we've also been giving you a pretty good recipe here on how to pile them up in your army as well, right? With kill boxes and spreading out multiple archer divisions. Now, we can finally start to get some help here in this campaign, right? We've been running around a one-band army. And now we can start adding people, but I am very discriminating. Not in real life. I happen to hate racism, but in the group selection phase here, I'll examine these fucks because I don't want a bunch of scrubs and recruits clogging up our ranks and slowing our army down. Just like our main army doesn't have many trash troops, we're going to keep our main army, once it's, 400 or 500 troops, mostly good troops. Right now, of course, most of your nobles that you invite are going to have a mix. They're going to have some mediocre, they're going to have some good troops, they're going to have some shit. There's very rarely do you see an army out there that you can add to yours that's mostly good troops, right? And if you can, it would be a huge amount of influence too. Raid one more village here for the road. But if, hello, we can, I think, make it there, right? Let's go participate in either a siege defense or an open field battle. 233, 150. We'll have about 400. We might be able to fight them out in the open. That would be a lot more fun. And then we don't lose any of our troops sneaking in. I try to keep my army lean and mean. When you're running around a campaign map, a big army moves slow, it's cumbersome. It means you can't travel the map very well. It means you miss out on targets, right? If you got 900 troops right here, you don't even make it to this castle to make either a counterattack or to try to get inside. I like, in the mercenary stage, maximum sized armor, right? We've been talking about it, but in this stage right here, I like no more than about 400 or 500. Unless you're, you adjust it as you see fit, right? There's a force of 2,200 with dirt. You call in some help, right? Just like Napoleon, you bring more armies to you. We can give these guys some of our weakest troops. That way we don't have quite as many deserters, but I don't want to give these guys troops that I want to keep for the road, right? So we can give them kind of troops around the margin of the battlefield. And you can get a glimpse of the troops I don't like by the ones that I donate to the lords, right? Your Varags, and I know eventually they become Drudzinics, but I don't think that highly of Drudzinics. And a lot of guys are still kind of convinced me. We're going to be using them in this campaign. Anybody wondering, of course, we're very close to a 90% Sturgian army. Basically, we have to go get a fief, right? And I'm going to choose it. We'll talk about that, right? We're going to give you the exact recipe to get, not for sure the fief you want, but we're going to have our pick of fiefs here. And we'll walk you through that process. And we're not going to do it here, right? We're not going to have our fief be way over here in Botania. Probably, I'm thinking... Well, actually, I'm not sure. We'll have to look at the situation out east. It's a mess right now, right? We're at war with a bunch of different kingdoms. Our armies are getting spread out all over the place here. And it's not bad. I guess we could add that guy. But it's also not great. I mean, militia. I just, you know, I'm discerning now. This is a Nord. Why are you in our... She must have married into the Sturgians, but... she's got trash too, right? A bunch of recruits and warriors. Those are tier 1 units. I think we're okay staying with what we got here. Now he's got some good troops. He's got Bedouins. I like Jav Cav. And we're still hemorrhaging troops, but of course it's volunteers. Tactically, your Jav Cav is a lot more valuable than your Spear Cav, right? That's still the bottom line. Your Banner Knights and whatnot, if you get a bunch of Spear Cavalry, you can just F1, F3 them, charge from a flank. They do pretty well. But I find battles like this, where you don't have a huge amount of cavalry, that's far more valuable to have a bunch of Jav Cav. They can be used on a flank. They can do some major damage here. And I think we wait overnight, let this Botanian force wear itself out a little bit, and then we'll smash them in the morning, right? We're gonna hang you in the morning, never see the sun. I always get movie quotes that pop up in my head. If you haven't seen 310 to Yuma, you need to go see it. It's a great Western. It's Russell Crowe, an English guy playing a Western guy, but he does it pretty well, and it's a fucking hilarious movie. It's a hilarious and well-made Western. It's kind of a modern Western. Go catch 310 to Yuma. We're gonna hang you in the morning. You guys will know when you see the scene. See, well, I figure Ben Wade, if I gotta be awake all night, motherfucker, so do you. And I think this force is gonna get obliterated, right? We're outnumbered, we're outgunned, the power bar favors them. Yeah, all the normal shit, right? But we got elite units, we got tactics, and the AI typically has neither of those, right? It has a horde of tier 3 and 4 units that are not very valuable because they don't have javelins. They're going to trudge around the battlefield. We got some speed banners on top of that, so our army here it's a Delta force. Now, we do have some trash troops in our army, and that is because we have these other nobles with us, right? Now, the main reason you're bringing them here is because it's still strength in numbers. Now, these are not our troops. This is actually, it's kind of strange, but this is the garrison of the castle, essentially fighting in the open with us. It's maybe a little bit, you know, it's artificial. But we're going to use them here, right? We're going to put archers and skirmishers behind them. And then I think we'll have a flank of archers, infantry, and cavalry on the other side here. You always want to try to separate and spread out your enemy. That way you can pinch and smash their forces as they come in. They do have some cavalry, but it's a long ways off. And we're going to be able to counter it pretty well. And I got like a little commander's perch here, right? We can essentially observe. This is our ally, infantry, archers. All right, so we'll just line up behind them. And it looks cowardly, but you know, this is how you minimize casualties, maximize rewards, upgrades, and all the other shit. Your AI units are stupid, right? So this garrison and stuff like that, they're gonna do dumb shit. Why would you volunteer to be the hero while they do dumb shit? They'll abandon you, right? They'll retreat in a battle like this where there's like a heavy melee scrum going on. Say we move forward here in a charged, they'll like back off. So what I would prefer to do is treat the AI like it's going to treat you a lot of times. I just do it ahead of time, right? We're going to effectively make the AI take the brunt of the force here, and we're going to do so by simply kiting behind our allied forces here. We can always get behind them, right? Because as they move in here, I just shot that poor lady off her horse. Let's get her pushed up there. As the enemy comes in here, we'll start crimping on both sides, right? And of course, they do have some cavalry hitting our flank. That was actually a pretty good flank. They came almost from behind us here, but I got skirmishers and we got hordes of troops back there. And look at how fucked these Botanians are, right? There's a huge fishball of them down here, completely trapped between our skirmishers, archers, jav, cav, and our allied forces too, right? We want them to attack our ally because then they're not attacking us, right? They're getting skewered by our skirmishers. Looks like we chased most of their cavalry or destroyed most of their cavalry. Now we can start closing in our left flank here. We don't want our troops to engage though, right? We don't want our troops getting close to them. So you're just kiting. We're ranged units. We've been doing this almost every battle. We're going to soften the enemy until they're nice and squishy. Now before we squeeze their throat until they can't breathe, right? This is what I mean too. They got a bunch of horrific units, Battanian trained warriors, no throwing weapon, no speed, no good weapons, and they're just kind of pigs to the slaughter here. Now they're attacking our allies, infantry and archers here. That's perfect, right? I couldn't have asked for a better situation here. Now we can bring cavalry through here and sort of disrupt them. And our skirmishers and archers are almost completely out of harm's range. Maybe a few guys are getting a little bit of combat, but mostly it's our ally being pulverized in the center there while we collect all the accolades, right? We're like that villain in a movie that lets all the people work hard, and then once the job's done, they go straight to their supervisor and said, yeah, I did it all, even though they didn't do shit. Man, that's Hagar the Horrible in a nutshell. Let's get this other side clamped. Now we're going to get reinforcements here, and they're actually blowing up our allies something fierce. There's a lot of Battanians here, so what do you do here, right? Well, you keep on kiting. There's no reason for us to fly into battle here, and we were outnumbered in this battle, right? So they're going to have a lot more troops. There's no reason for us to engage directly, except when they regroup. Right? This is a good opportunity to get some kills. Well, no, now they just charged. Let's back off. Let's get these two divisions. No, let's charge. We got the first coming over the top of the ridge there. They look like they're all wet in the bed here. Let's just finish these guys off. My decision making there is sometimes it is back and forth. Sometimes there's a small difference between a beneficial fight and one where there's too much risk. So you guys don't hear me vacillate and be indecisive too often. It's not a big deal here. We're being a little bit of a perfectionist. This force is toast, right? These guys are absolutely ripped apart. The death span is 90% green, and they get butchered. All right, so Cav's out in front here in a shield wall, and all they like to do here is just push it through. That's a lot of infantry, though. Yeah, I see you coming. How the fuck? I was 20 feet in the air, and he stabs me still. My horse jumps 20 feet, and this is actually a lot of Battanians. I think we kite here. That's like almost 300, 275. All right, so let's fall back. We can pull over the ridge here. By pulling over the ridge here, what this does is completely negate all of their archers, right? We'll just simply move away from them. Now, there's a little bit of tangling up there, but not all those are our troops. Some of those are our dipshit ally. Hopefully that's not our troops getting cut down. Now, what we're going to do here is just use our cavalry to drive through the enemy ranks and break up their formations while we kite to a new location. And this looks... I think this open area here to our right looks better. So let's just triangulate our archers. We'll spread them out here at multiple different sides, and then we will rendezvous with our reinforcements here. We're getting reinforcements in a battle like this, of course, because we started with, what do we have, 600 versus 800, right? The 1,400 initial troops don't all fit into the initial battle. Now we can drag our cavalry and just sort of disrupt the enemy. First division looks like it's mostly reinforcements. Let's inspect that. Okay, here they are. Archers, skirmishers, first division. And our first division is going to be trash, right? Because these guys are reinforcements, so this is going to be our worst troops. We want to protect these guys. So the we're clear of the enemy, right? And they have another big group of troops that is just going to get exterminated. It's 300 infantry and some archers. They have archers, but they can't shoot us because we've got this ridge now. Spread out our archers. Now these guys I want to protect. We'll get them in at the end of battle here when the enemy's starting to be beat to shit. We don't want to send them in initially because they'll get, 180 or 100 losses. Those are allied forces, which is perfect, right? Because it's more distraction for the enemy. We can just sort of park our cavalry over here. And let's square the 6th. These guys are probably out of javelins. What this will do is absorb a lot of attention, make them highly... What did I run into? The ground? This will make them highly defensive, so all these little Batanian peasants can't really hurt them. Now we can charge at the 1st. They're being shredded by archers. The cavalry can swing across in a sweeping motion. And just like the shield rolling downhill, everything has gone wrong for the Batanians. Alright, let's finish these boys off here. This battle is over. Our cavalry's shredding them from behind. They're getting blasted by archers. Now we can get the peasants to charge. Get in there, boys. Get some experience. The 6th Division can charge. White cats, stop them! In fact, we were too efficient here. Our little recruits aren't even going to get any kills. But besides that, a largely ideal battle for us in this situation. We probably had 30 or 40 casualties at most. And our army rolls along, right? 3 casualties, 3 dead, and 507 kills. We'll take that shit. That'll suffice. And a heap of upgrades. Only one of our companions went down. I wonder, it's probably the naked guy, right? And troops did just fine. And more prisoners here. Of course, we can dump these prisoners into the citadel. In fact, we might dump some of these troops. We're like 50 over our maximum. Let's take some high-end troops here. We can dump these into the garrison. And our army, it's explosion time, right? Now you get originally, or at least originally last episode, the previous episode, we were collecting money. We got lots of money now. Now we're collecting influence, just hand over fist. This is like the growth of NVIDIA's stock in 2024, right? It's just every single time that they have one of their earnings announcements, their revenue is tripled. It's tripling every quarter and shit like that, and the stock goes vertical. If their army here, if Hagar the Horrible's little, if our campaign was a stock, it would look like NVIDIA's stock, just a rocket ship to the moon. More influence. Now, we're not getting money anymore for these guys, but we don't really need money, right? At this stage, we never have to buy equipment ever again, right? When we go to a city, whatever we want, we're just going to add to our army, and then we'll just sell. Not only and get the equipment free, but we'll get whatever gold they have in the city. Basically, our guy rolls in like a gangster when he gets to a city, and he goes straight to the merchant guild, like the whole guild themselves, and he's like, I want all of your stores to come show up here at the barter fair. Bring all your money, right? We have bent hose and raggedy socks and some other shit. We'll take all of the money in the whole city at every single city we go to. And we can probably do that indefinitely at this stage with the loot that we're piling up in these battles. Now, it's a real mess right here. I mean, the Nords are just blasting us in the east. And it is interesting to observe some of the changes, right? We haven't talked about that a lot. There haven't been dramatic changes that we have noticed from version 1.4. There have been obviously changes, but there wasn't wild changes made to the units. It wasn't like all of a sudden all Sturgian cavalry, including Drudzinics, got skirmishers or something, got javelins. They didn't make dramatic changes to the units and to the kingdoms, but they did make changes, right? And one of them that I've mentioned before is they got rid of the cavalry bonus for AI battles. Cavalry used to get essentially an open field advantage against archers and infantry, and that is part of the reason that Valandia and Khazate would roll over the map in most people's campaign, right? So that's gone, and I think it's observable already in this campaign. The first thing that I observed is that I don't think the Nords ever lost Valvik, the island city of Valvik. That almost always happens in campaigns, right? Where either people send me their save game, and we get a lot of exposure to it, either through the 4, 5, 6 campaigns that we've played, or maybe the 50 campaigns that we've seen from other people. Almost always, Valandia has Valvik. Well, here they don't. That's a great sign, right? Because it's a very bad game design if every single campaign the Valandians just immediately take one of the Nord cities. The Valandians already have 7 or 8 cities at the beginning of the game. The Nords only have 4. Obviously, that's a problem if it's 9 Valandian cities and the Nords have 3, right? They just get booted from the northwest instantly. Well, it looks like that's not going to be the case, at least not consistently in the future. It's still possible that Valandia, and I'm not probably sieging here. We'll assess this as we go. I mean, we've got a good surgeon, or a good engineer, right? Our wife is the engineer. It's probable that in some campaigns the Valandians will still take Valvik, right? It doesn't mean there's an RNG element to the map, basically. The easiest way to envision it happening would be early in a campaign, the Khazate declare war on the Nords head out east to defend against the Khazate, and then while that's happening, the Valandians declare war on them and then head up and take Valvik while they're on the other side of the map, right? That's still pretty reasonable scenario, but at least it's not instant that the Valandians, hello, we got a bunch of Britannians here, at least it's not instantaneous that the Valandians just get the island city, and I think that's a really good change, right? It was a necessary change. This is something we also practically begged Tail Worlds for, and we're practically begging these 500 or 600 Britannians to attack us, and they're just fleeing every direction. So our army kind of has reached, I don't know what you call it, right? Like a ridiculous level of power here. Now they should attack, right? The garrison is there. Here they come. But I don't want to fight 1,600 with the garrison. We will get captured.
Before we fight,
and you're way too early, lady. So I think what we'll do here is we're gonna fight this, but I don't know how much of this I'll show you. Right? It's gonna be, I guess she's charging us. Maybe we'll fight this battle. Let's see. It's kind of odd. I got to reorganize my army. All of my captains are reset. I think this is happening because this is the first battle in this campaign where we are commanding lords in the field. At least where we get the startup menu, right? The ability to designate captains. I think that's why this is happening, because we had all this shit assigned. In fact, here we got our naked guy. He's in charge of the 1st Division. Where is he here? This is Hagar the Horrible's way of discipline, right? You back talk your despot Hagar the Horrible, this tyrannical Viking, and you get put into the battlefield naked with no weapon. That's a good lesson to the other captains in this army, right? Nobody wants to fight naked in the snow, and so you don't backtalk Hagar the Horrible. I think that makes sense. And if that guy complains once more, we'll just boot him from our army here, right? We're not going to tolerate punk-ass complainers. We're going to send him in with this weak division late in this battle. Now, this is where it's kind of hard without the RTS mod, right? If I auto-resolve this, we suffer like 100 losses. I'm not willing to suffer 100 losses here, right? Our troops are important, and even though these dipshits are in my way, and it's, you know, maybe wasting your time, we're still going to fight this. In the future, we'll probably do quite a bit of editing. In fact, it's possible that I just edit this out, especially if the enemy runs the other way. But you know what? They're not going to run the other way because they're attacking us here. I think it's basically another snafu with the system. She thinks the rest of the Britannians are somehow going to help her here. I think that's what's going on, and there are still some problems with that. I've mentioned that to Tail Worlds, and we continue to work on stuff. It's worth mentioning again that this is still an experimental build, is I think how they're terming it. And what that basically means is that this is not probably the build that you're going to be playing when this goes live. Right? When this patch is released to everybody, it will be more polished than this. Right? There are still some bugs they're working through. Basically, they've fixed a bunch, but there's still some that they need to fix. So I wouldn't worry too much if you're watching this and you're disconcerted because it looks like the AI is just suiciding here. This is not going to be standard operation in the future, or at least you hope not. Now, nothing too fancy here. We're just making a big wide C formation with our troops. I've got the skirmishers heading over to the right. We're going to dump javelins in the enemy left and right here, smoke their little horse archers. And we're going to send the 1st Division in, again, late in this battle so that they get EXP. Do you have to do this? No. Like I said, you don't have to do this at all. But this is part of the reason that our army has basically been an unmitigated destroying machine, is efficiency. And so by being efficient and spending an extra 2 minutes on a battle, we don't have to spend 10 minutes going around and picking up a bunch of volunteers and recruits and Sturgian recruits and shit like that, because our army doesn't suffer very many losses. And on top of that, of course, we get heaps of upgrades. Our companions are maximizing kills every battle because they're not ever knocked unconscious either, right? They're just chucking javelins or shooting their bow the whole battle. And that's part of the way that our companions on the channel are consistently high level. People are shocked sometimes to see how high level our companions get. Well, this is one of the reasons. Now, here comes the beatdown posse, a bunch of bowl cut, afroed, funny looking recruits. We send them in here at the end. There's our naked captain. Charging like a dipshit. He's moving really slow for some reason. Maybe he's got frostbite already. And I'd be surprised if we had 5 casualties, right? We had 1 dead here, and the enemy gets melted. Again, just as an example. I don't think we'll show you more of these battles in the future. I'd like to drop this guy here. He gets dropped at the end of this battle. And let's go find a fief in this campaign. I do want to show you that process. We're trying to guide you through in case you're using this to help you with your campaign. And it just is fucking raining on us in this campaign. It seems like every army we capture has like 50 troops. It's amazing how, I guess we'll say, fortunate we've been in this campaign. It just seems like there's prisoners everywhere, and I don't know. I don't know what to say. It just seems like it's been a lot of good shit's been happening for us. Of course, I'm reminded of the quote from Titanic where he says, I make my own luck. There's certainly some element of that in life. There's luck that affects us in life, but sometimes you make it yourself. Now here, I'm just begging him to attack me, and they're trying to run for the city. I don't think you guys are going to make it. And we caught them here before they could scurry into the city. They still won't attack us. And, man, Caladog and you punk asses are about to get captured. Again, maybe we won't even show you this. We'll just show you the wrap-up or whatever, but we'll continue narrating here and pushing through this campaign. And again, the cavalry, the biggest thing is don't charge forward with your cavalry early on. They'll get mauled, right? You want to basically use them later. All right, friends, we have done some more editing in this campaign as we blow apart Caladog's army here. Of course, we outnumbered them. They were fleeing just to try to get into Dunglannis in the first place. They didn't make it, and so Caladog and his little band of brigands here get run down like dogs in the snow outside Dunglannis, and we're going to continue to truncate portions of this campaign as our Delta Force continues to smash their way across Calradia. Now, we are going to start to move east. In fact, we'll get you to live narration here, show you the end of this episode, and lead you into the next one as we look to establish not only being a vassal, but getting a location, a home to call our own. More of the same here, and we'll get you back to live narration. And of course, as I'm fond of saying, when it rains, it pours. It reminds me of the best crap session I've ever had. When I was younger, I would go throw dice and right? The aforementioned stuff when you gamble, right? You go in understanding that you're there for entertainment. You don't have an angle, friends, unless you're a legitimate cheater. You're going to a casino, you're there for fun. So we'd go play craps once in a while. We'd usually, a friend and I would buy in for a couple $100. Well, we had an incredible roll and we were just ripping it for like 45 minutes. If you don't know anything about craps, essentially the longer you roll without having somebody else take over the roll, in other words, without getting the number 7, the more money you make. And we were playing very aggressively. I was actually betting on the hard ways. This is going to be over the head of a lot of people here, but I'm just going to say it anyways. And we had a $50 hopping hard number. I think it was like a hard 8 or something like that. And we had money, of course, on the hard 8 on the standard board. We had, our place 8 was like at $300. In layman's turn, we were betting like $1,500, but at this stage, it was the house's money, and we hit a hard 8 on a $50 hopping hard 8, which I think the payout was $1,500. The bottom line is, with one roll, with the roll of 2 4s on the dice, we cleared something like $3,500, and I say we, my friend cleared like $500. I was betting more aggressively, and that's how it feels like in this campaign. We just get unlimited troops. It just seems like... and in craps, when something like that happens, of course, they just start shoving big piles of chips at you because they're paying each individual bet you made. We got 3 different big wins, all with that single roll. That's how this campaign feels right now. We're just every single battle. Not only do we get a heap of experience, we get all kinds of troops, all kinds of prisoners, influence, levels, you name it, right? We're getting laid. Just about everything is going right here. Now we're gonna head out east next episode. So if you want to see more from our campaign, of course, I would ask you to subscribe. Please hit that like button on the way out if you've been enjoying this campaign. We're gonna head to Sturgian lands. We're gonna use infantry. I will see you, friends, next time.